Today I'm going to be sharing with you what my thoughts are on the resource that we have been using to teach my children German. Hi and welcome. Thanks for joining me today. So in my previous videos, I have shared that we are going to be doing German with my children. And in my curriculum pick videos, I mentioned the curriculum we were going to use. I've done an unboxing on it, but it is by Homeschool Languages, and we're doing level 1 of German. Now, this did not come spiral bound. I had it re-spiral bound just because it's so much easier for me if I can open it and lay it flat. So I just took it to Office Depot and rebound it. But otherwise, this is their hard copy that they sent. Really good quality. I love the quality of their materials. And just a side note, while this is German and I'm reviewing our experience with their German, they do have other languages. They are not exclusive to a single language. I think they have Spanish, French, Portuguese. I think there's some Italian. I know they're working on expanding into sign language and other languages. So if this is of interest to you after seeing this, know that it is not exclusive to one language. They do work with multiple languages. And where do I start? Well, I guess I'll start with the fact that my kids love it. They really do. It's one of the curriculum pieces that they ask to do. One of the curriculum pieces that I never whine about doing. And I know one of the reasons is because there are some YouTube videos with songs in German I think kids absolutely love watching. And so they're always kind of hopeful that that's going to be in the piece. But aside from that, they also really enjoy the lessons. They have a lot of fun with it. They're very young child friendly. They're not expected to be able to read or write, which is really nice because I'm doing it with a 4 and a 5-year-old. I would say my 5-year-old is like at the perfect level for it. She picks up super fast. She gets it. My 4-year-old takes a little bit more repetition and a little bit more work, but she is getting it as well. Like we did the Unit 1 review exam to see if she had caught 75 to 85% of it, and she passed it. So I was really happy because I was wondering with her if she was picking up enough, and she is. So I guess I just want to share some of the things that I like about it. Maybe I'll kind of walk you through how we use it. So there are, 41 lessons, and then a couple of, divided into 4 units. And then there's a couple of review games in between units, like unit reviews, and a few checklists or unit, not tests, but that kind of idea to see if your child is ready to progress into the next unit. We've just finished Unit 1. That was the first 10, I believe, chapters, and we just finished Chapter 12 today. And so we do not do a chapter a day. And honestly, if I'm going to be honest, this is one of the subjects, because it's not one of our core subjects, it's an extracurricular, that if we're having a busy day or a busy week, this is one of the ones that kind of gets pushed out, just because if I don't always have time for something, you have to pick something to kind of go. And this is one of those, so we haven't been going through it super fast, but I don't do a lesson a day. I do a lesson roughly every 2 days, sometimes every 3 days, depending on how long it is. My kids are young, and I'd rather they're getting it and we do a little extra review on what we've done than try to rush through a lesson. So in these lessons, this is the one I'm going to be moving on to. They always have the focus of the lesson, the materials for the main part of the lesson you'll need, and then the new vocabulary that they're going to want you to memorize. I really appreciate that their new vocabulary is always really small. So when you do this lesson, they have you write this vocabulary out and hang it for your kids to practice throughout the week. And it's never been more than 5 words or 2 or 3 phrases. It's not a ton. Now they introduce other vocabulary in the lesson, but it's not something that your child is required to memorize, that you're working on. You incorporate it slowly. And I like that they introduce it, because often they introduce words into the lesson when you're kind of talking that are going to be vocabulary in future lessons. So they start getting a familiarity with it, but the vocabulary amount is manageable, and I really appreciate that. So they have that listed, and then they never have a little warm-up box where you sing a song that you've been practicing. You practice saying hello, good morning, how are you, some of the phrases that you've already learned. You review some phrases in chant form. You review your colors and numbers. So these are all things that we've already learned in previous lessons. So just some warm-up. And then, well, in this next lesson, not every lesson, but every couple of lessons, they do a culture section where they talk about something that is specific to the culture of that language or that country. So this would be specific to Germany, and each language does their own culture, which I actually kind of think is fun, that you get a little bit of an introduction to places and things that are relevant to that language's culture. So in this one, they'll have that. And then they're practicing the tenses of go, depending on if you say I go, you go, or we are going. And they've introduced a little bit of this in other words before, so this won't be completely foreign to my kids, but they do a lot of practice. So I really appreciate that. And you can see how they have this set up. Hopefully you can see. with little sections with checkboxes. The idea is that you could check those off. I don't like writing in my teacher's manuals unless I have to, especially not something that's actually as nice and high quality as this. But it breaks it up into small pieces, which makes it really easy for me to break my day up into pieces, right? So this is, you did page 1, this is page 2 of lesson 13, and then this would be page 3. And then at the end, often, not always, they have a little extra practice, which is often a game or something like that. And then your lesson cool down at the end of every lesson, which is generally a student book that you read. And that has like 10 or so books in here that you read with them. And then some YouTube videos that are in that language, songs that the kids get to listen to and kind of recognize some of the words from the lesson. And then just notes to the teacher and your lesson pronunciation for anything that was new in that lesson. So that's a rough layout. But to do all that in a day would be a lot with my toddlers. And so we generally break it up into 2 days. If I can, I'll do the large majority of the lesson in one day. And then the next day, I'll do a little bit of review on what we did the day before, the rest of the lesson, and then any extra practice along with the YouTubes and the book that we read. Now, a note, just if this is of interest to you, they are re-editing this curriculum. So they're putting out another edition, a newer edition, and where they've gotten a lot of feedback from people, like grammatically and just any errors that they're doing, but they're also adjusting the teacher's manual if you buy a hard copy. They're widening it a little bit to make it an 11 by 11 instead of an 8 by 11, because they're going to put along the sides, they're not just going to have the pronunciation box at the end of the lesson. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So rather than just having the pronunciation for each lesson, any new words that you did during that lesson, I really hope the glare of my ring light isn't making this too hard to see, but they're going to put along the side a little margin for pronunciation of anything on that page, I believe. So they're going to add additional pronunciation help for you as the teacher, which again is something that I loved about this material. It is absolutely, absolutely written for a mom to teach her kids when you don't know how to speak a language. I don't know German, but I'm learning and they're giving me the pronunciation, they're giving me the tips, they give you some extra notes that you don't have to worry about your children learning, but are good for you as the teacher to know. It's written super, super non-language speaking mom friendly. And it's great because I feel like I'm learning. I'm not just like doing the steps so that my children learn without understanding. And I don't feel like I'm teaching them wrong. I feel like I'm getting enough to be like, well, I'm giving them the basics. Like, I feel like it's really good. And so I really, really like that this is written for young children when I don't speak the language. And I think that's something that a lot of people are looking for in a language curriculum, because often we want to give our children something that we didn't get. And so some people are teaching their children the language that they speak. But a lot of us who go to a curriculum, it's because we don't speak the language and we want our children to be able to. So I really appreciate something that's meant for a mom who doesn't speak the language, and even for kids who don't know how to write and read yet, because often I think like the time kids suck stuff up is those early years. And so I think they're sponges, and to wait until they can read and write to do language doesn't make any sense to me. If you're going to do a language, just start young. So we are really, really enjoying it. I'm just going to check my notes because I don't want to miss things. The materials of everything in the kit that I got are really good quality. The make is good quality. I don't feel like they cheaped out on me. I don't feel like things are going to fall apart super fast. So I really, really appreciate that. It did come with some extra pieces. We've got that book I showed you with the storybooks. There's some game boards, some game pieces, some spinners, some cards, a hand puppet. If you're interested in seeing everything that came in my kit, I did an unboxing video, and I'll try to link a little tab up here for you if you kind of want to see all the pieces that are in the kit. Like I said, I did go ahead and spiral bound my teacher's manual, which has made that super easy, but that's not a necessity. Not because I thought they did a bad job making it, just because it was my preference in the space that we have. I'm trying to condense a little bit, so to be able to just kind of flatten it and open like that was helpful. I would say the one thing that would be useful would be, so they have like a basic pronunciation guide in the front for like, just to kind of reference, like this is a basic pronunciation of reading German, which is useful. But whenever I don't have the pronunciation guide like right on hand, or if the word is something that they add something that I don't know where to find the pronunciation, flipping back and forth to the beginning of book where that guide is and to the lesson is a little hard. So I think it'd be nice if they could put that like pronunciation guide on like an extra little pamphlet that you could kind of slide into your book for wherever you're at to reference. Like I said, the next book they are putting a lot more pronunciation guide help into for the teacher, so that may not be necessary. I actually went ahead and made my own little guide. I took their like front piece and cheat sheeted it and like made a bookmark out of it for myself. So you could totally do that yourself. I also realized I knew this, but I didn't like think about it. At the end of the book, after all the lessons, they do have like a glossary or a dictionary where they have the German word, the definition, and then the pronunciation, and they're by alphabetized in the German. So if you find a word in your manual that you don't know how to pronounce and you don't remember which lesson it was, so that you could go back to the pronunciation guide for the lesson, they do have this resource in back, which I appreciate, and I didn't realize was there until recently. So I'll be using that as well. Overall, though, excellent resource. Highly recommend. I have recommended it to people, and I will continue to recommend it to people. It's something we're going to continue to do. I'm looking forward to being able to do the next level. We're like a quarter of the way through the first level, so we're not there. But it's been a great addition. Like I said, I don't do it every day. We do it about twice a week, and some weeks maybe less than that. But my kids love it. They giggle through it. They laugh through it. They think it's funny. They think it's funny when I have to do the lesson things, or when they get to tell me to do things after I've told them to do things. And it's just written in a really kid-friendly manner. I really, really like it. I believe that it is tested before it goes to the public by homeschool families, which is perfect. I feel like homeschool curriculum that you're putting out there for homeschool families needs to be tested by homeschool families before you put it out there. And I'm pretty sure that this company does just that, and you could tell. So while they're, I would say it's not 100% perfect, I found some small errors and I sent them in, and they really appreciated that because they are doing an upgrade, or not an upgrade, but an update to their printed version. And so they're re-editing everything and reproofing it all. I think they've done a really, really good job and have come up with something that is a great resource and different from the other resources I've seen out there. So if you're looking for a language curriculum, especially for littles, and you don't speak the language, I would say after using this for a quarter of our school year, after being about a quarter of the way through the book, I would say it's a great resource, and I would highly recommend checking it out. So all that to say, if you have another language resource that you have loved, please comment that below. I would be interested to know that. I'm always interested in checking other things out and comparing and contrasting. Also, another thing I would love is if you know of a site or resource to get good readers in other languages, like kids' picture books or kids' readers in other languages, comment those below, because I would love to get some additional readers to go along with it, because my kids do really enjoy that, and it's good practice for me to read the language to them. So that would be something that I'd be interested in as well. As always, if you have any questions, please comment them below. Let me know, and I will see you guys in the next video.